Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and yesterday the internet went absolutely fucking apeshit, and with good reason, over the story of the developmentally disabled 18-year-old white man being held against his will for at least 5 hours by four young black people in an apartment on Chicago's West Side, where they bound him, gagged him, beat him, humiliated him, cut his scalp with a knife, cut his clothes with a knife, made him drink toilet water, all while denouncing white people and saying fuck Trump. All right, now the internet was basically saying this is a fucking hate crime. All right, and they were waiting for the police to make the same claim. They're waiting for the media to make the same claim, and there was a whole bunch of other things that were happening along with it. Like, information was kind of coming out as fast as it possibly could. People wanted action, people wanted justice, and people wanted it fucking now. And the thing is, by the time the news broke, at least broke wide, justice in essence had already somewhat happened. All four suspects were in custody. What we found out now are the circumstances surrounding that bit of information, what kind of led to everything happening, and it's an interesting story. So this is kind of an update to give you guys more of the know in case you weren't fully familiar with how events kind of played out. So this all started on New Year's Eve, where the 18-year-old victim, I don't know his name, they haven't given us his name, so for going forward, I'm just going to call him the victim. Which I wish I had a better name to give him, but I don't want to make a joke about a name. I don't want to call him Bobby or something when his name is really Richard. I got no idea. The point is, the victim was dropped off at a McDonald's where he was going to meet up with an acquaintance of his, which is one of the men that has been charged in this event. His name is Jordan Hill. Jordan Hill is also 18 years old. So the two men met up at the McDonald's where they proceeded to get into Jordan's van, which he had stolen. And then they traveled to Chicago's West Side, where they spent all New Year's Eve together, and on New Year's Day, they toured around Chicago in the stolen van, and police have been able to determine that at that point, the 18-year-old was in fact, the victim was there voluntarily. Now, then they went over to the house or the apartment of Tanisha Covington and her sister, Brittnay Covington, or Brittnay Covington, sorry, who was the one who was live streaming the event. And this is where things take a turn for the worse. Now, I don't have the specifics. They haven't released the specifics, but somehow, while they were at this house, right, with the two girls, another 18-year-old male, Jordan Hill, and the victim, Jordan and the victim somehow got into a play fight, right? They got into a play fight. We don't really know what the extent of that was. And it ended up being escalated because the two sisters became aggravated at the 18-year-old victim. And this is where things got bad. This is where they tied him up, they beat him, they humiliated him, they cut him, they made him drink toilet water, all the things I previously mentioned. Now, keep in mind, at this point in time, we're talking, this is like January, 2nd or 3rd at this point, right? No, it was January 2nd. So he'd already been missing for a while. His parents had already reported him missing, and they were trying to find out where he went. You know, this kid he's a special needs person, right? So it's like, there's elements at play there. So when this situation was going on and they were doing all these things to him, they were making a lot of ruckus, right? And one of the neighbors actually got mad at them and basically yelled at them saying, if you don't shut the fuck up, I'm gonna call the cops, right? And at this point, the kids decided to head over to that neighbor's house and start kicking and pounding on her door, to which case she called 5-0. Now, when 5-0 showed up to respond to that noise complaint, that is when the victim made his escape. Now, this is where things get a little bit confusing, and I have not been able to find the specifics of what happened next. Reports say that the police found the 18-year-old victim walking, in just like a t-shirt, sandals, and shorts in brutal January Chicago weather, which, let's face it, it's fucking nasty there, right? It's really fucking cold. And then they were able to kind of figure out, they got him help and everything else. But one of the news reports is saying that he was found with Jordan Hill, right? But I have not been able to find that brought up anywhere else, right? Because some news stories cover one half of it, other news stories cover the other half of it, and that is the key point I'm trying to figure out here. Because if Jordan Hill was with him, right? If Jordan Hill was with him when he was found, then that would like basically indicate that Jordan helped him escape, right? Got him out of there when the police showed up to talk to the other kids about the noise violation and pounding on the neighbor's door. Now, when the news broke, at least when the video was sent to the police of the live stream, they were able to then look at the images of the boy on the screen and then match it with the victim that they found or the guy that they found walking around and realize that the two were the same person. And then they were able to go in and find out that there were signs of a struggle and kind of put it all together and create this credible situation. In which case, then they were able to bring the 4 people in and then interview them, in which case all 4 people admitted to what happened. So at this point, this is very much now just kind of an open and shut situation. And then today, just today, they said that they have been charged with a hate crime as well as a aggravated battery, aggravated kidnapping, and a couple of other charges. So the hate crime aspect of it has to do with the fact, not because they were telling this kid to say, fuck Trump and fuck white people. It's because of the kid's mental capacity and the color of his skin is what the police are saying. But the police also, they were tiptoeing the fuck around this whole situation, right? They were tiptoeing around it all. They didn't want to fucking deal with shit. Like at the press conference yesterday, literally the police superintendent was like, well, these just might be kids making mistakes and shit. You don't tie somebody up for 5 hours, humiliate them, make them drink toilet water, cut them, beat them, all that shit. If they're just making a mistake, right? That's the equivalent of saying like, oh, Dylan Roof didn't mean to kill 9 people in that South Carolina church last year. He just went in there and shit got real all of a sudden and that gun just went off. But it's not his fault, right? No, that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. And they were doing everything they could to not call it what it is, which is a fucking hate crime. But some people are also mad at CNN for how one commenter on there had made a comment that it wasn't a hate crime because there wasn't like forethought to it, right? And then this to an extent, it does kind of resonate with me. I get what she's trying to say. I think that through the process of the event, it became a hate crime. I don't think it originated as one. I don't think when the victim went over there, it was meant to start off as that, but it definitely turned into it, right? To which case, Don Lemon asks, who's raising these kids? I don't know any 17-year-old kid that would act this way. Well, for one, Don, they're 18, so they're legally adults. 2, do you really? I mean, look, I'm just gonna fucking say it. Do you really have to ask the question, where are the black parents? I mean, that is a common theme. That is a common theme when it comes to talking about these incidences with black youth, the fact that the parents, especially the fathers, aren't there due to the way that we have drug laws and all sorts of shit, right? Like, you know, look at everything with the whole super predator bullshit from the fucking 90s. That's kind of come home. It's very similar to how the millennials and the regressive left and social justice warriors are a byproduct of that, you know, early PC culture in the 90s and giving everyone a gold star or a trophy from just wiping your ass. Like, it's now we're seeing this couple decades later, it's now coming home. And we're now dealing with the byproduct and the result of those actions. And this, I do believe, is definitely tied together. These people, you know, did this to this person, and you know, they don't necessarily, from what I could, my interpretation is that there wasn't much remorse there. But I've also been trying to ask myself, what necessarily caused this event to take place? What was it that was the inciting incident? Now, Jordan and the boy, the victim, were having a play fight. Okay, now it must have become racial at some point in time. That's the only thing I can make it out to be. It must have become racial where the victim had said the N-word, and maybe at some point in time he said he was pro-Trump or something, because something would have incited it off. Now, here's the other part of that too. The 2 women involved. Given the fact that Brittnay Covington made it all about her in that live stream, as well as her sister were predominantly featured in that live stream while they were doing the actions to the victim, it really makes me question if those girls were the catalysts of it going down. They were offended by what the boy said, by what the victim said, that they were offended at the play fight between Jordan and between the victim. Because keep in mind, men discuss things with each other in a way that they can get downright brutal at times. They will make fun of each other in ways that only friends can do, right? And if you have a white friend and a black friend, they will say things to each other that to anyone outside of their close circle of friends would look at as being abhorrently racist. And that's what I think happened here. I think they were playing. I think that they just went a little bit too far, and that aggravated the situation. Now, if you're wondering why I think that, I'll tell you guys real quick. When I used to work at my movie theater in San Diego, we would oftentimes deal with a very similar situation where there would be one woman for like a group of men, all right? And she would be the alpha, always would be the alpha. All right. And she would surround herself with men that she could be the alpha of. And if there ever was an incident involving that group, she would be the inciting factor of any kind of argument or any kind of trouble. This is not an uncommon thing. And I'm not trying to say this to attack women or to emasculate men or anything. These are just what I've seen from young people in these situations. And I do believe that it is raceless, right? That it doesn't matter what color skin you have. That there are women out there that surround themselves with those kind of men that are able to then kind of act as like the queen bee scenario. And based on what I saw from Brittnay and her sister's Facebook feeds and everything else, that was kind of the attitude that they seemed to elicit to me. That's simply my opinion. You can agree or disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. But getting back to this particular subject matter, a couple things happened also that were definitely misinformations, right? Like, big old Trump supporter Baked Alaska was out there tweeting out images that Brittnay Covington had been was out on bail, $1,500 bail and shit. Never mind the fact that the booking information that he screenshotted was from October of last year, where she was busted for larceny, which is why the bail was set at $1,500. So there's that. There was also people out there that were trying to find the image of Brittnay, find her mugshot essentially, and they came across another Brittnay from Houston, Texas, who is about the same age and looks very similar, a crying mugshot, and so they began to circulate that as being her, but the Brittnay from Houston was actually a person who was involved in a Plenty of Fish robbery scam, which turned into a homicide of a 25-year-old single father. So like that was from 2015. So there's a lot of misinformation that has gone out. Never mind the hashtag BLM kidnapping. Now look, I'm not going to sit there and downplay that. I used it too, but it was also the way to talk about the issue. It was a trending hashtag. People were discussing this, and people were trying to say that Black Lives Matter was not directly responsible for this. And as I've said before, I do feel that to an extent these actions were somewhat put on by the antics of the organization, by their lack of denouncing these particular situations as they happen, and also like BLM Toronto and the actions towards the Pride Parade and everything else. I do feel like they are somewhat conflated, or they are somewhat connected. Sorry, not conflated, connected. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. So the BLM says there wasn't involved. At this point, there's no evidence to support the fact that these people were doing this on behalf of BLM, but you can understand why that hashtag exists. You can understand why that hashtag was being used, because this is not uncommon behavior. No, it's not uncommon behavior. I mean, shit, in the South, was it the Minnesota riots from a couple months ago? There were videos that came out of Black Lives Matter supporters that were, stripping white people down in a parking garage and beating them and taking their clothes and running off. Media never fucking reported on that shit. I don't like things getting racial. I don't. I think it's very hard to discuss them with nuance. I think it's very hard to discuss them in a way that will definitely benefit everyone in terms of the discussion. But at the same time, these are incidences that have led to this incident happening. You can kind of see why this event transpired the way that it did. And as I said in my last video, it is entirely possible that these kids felt they could act this way with impunity because they know that for the most part, they could get away with it. And it was only because that this news, I think, broke wide that we are even talking about this issue as a whole. Those kids would have been busted one way or another, but they wouldn't have gotten charged with the hate crime had the internet not responded and fucking demanded it. And that is something I think we all can agree on here was probably the best outcome of this, is that they are going to get charged with the hate crime. Alright everyone, that wraps up this video. My name is Mundane Matt. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe if you're new, check back daily for more content from me, or if you want to know about my life, check out Mundane Chats, or top 5 videos that are awesome as fuck, forbidden knowledge right here. Talk to you guys later, have yourself a good day, and peace out.